So Anthony O'Neal, right? I haven't reacted to something like Anthony O'Neal in a while, simply because it just hasn't been on my radar. You guys haven't sent me anything from Anthony O'Neal, so it hasn't been worth, you know what I'm saying, going to search it out. Like I don't just go and search out this stuff in order to react to. But Anthony O'Neal was supposed to be a money guy. Largely came up at a time when Dave Ramsey was blowing up and he was riding that wave, and so apparently he divested himself against that, and he moved on cordially in a different direction because Anthony O'Neal wanted to talk about more than just money. Anthony O'Neal used to be on Clubhouse a lot. He has a lot of conversations about relationships. Why? I have no clue whatsoever. He doesn't seem poised, or his ability to even be able to communicate about relationships is subpar and substandard. His mindset when it comes to finances and resources, you could probably have a completely different conversation about that. Shout out to him for his success. But as far as when it comes to relationships, I think that Anthony O'Neal is a simp in a general sense. Before I even watch this video, before I even, see what's happening, I think that Anthony O'Neal is largely a simp. The stuff that I've seen from him previously, I think that he is a simp. But Anthony O'Neal is reacting to what he's seen Tyler Perry say. And I'm curious as to what this is because you guys sent it to me. Let's see what's happening.
So probably disagrees with Tyler Perry.
A lot of women, especially black women, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I will. In our society right now, black women are making a lot more money for the most part than black men, right? There are a lot of black men who are successful, but for the most part, black women are making the money. So if you can find love, if that man works, at whatever job, and is a good man, and is good to you, and honors the house, and honors his wife, and does what he can, because his gift may not be your gift.
Exactly.
That is okay.
I want to say this up front. That
I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for y'all to be able to cam up. But cam up if you have a disagree with me. If you do not have a disagreement with me, and it could be about anything, it could be anything that happened throughout the week, it could be anything that's going on today, then cam up, or you don't have to cam up. You can join a live stream, or you can just call in. I will not put you on unless I get your permission. But however, if you have a disagreement with me, prepare to come on a live stream if you want to.
I love and I honor this man and what he's done, and how he has impacted the community and the culture. But he says some things that I do believe that a woman should first seek a man with character, with integrity, honest, loving, charming, charisma, and God-fearing.
I didn't hear all of that in the clip, but okay, let's continue.
But I do want to talk about this, that I do disagree. I do disagree from the standpoint of, how do I say this? If a man doesn't have his foundation taken care of, then that man should not be focusing on dating. We see that nearly, I would say, studies came out recently that revealed that 9% of all American men will make about $100,000 or more within the calendar year of 2023.
Okay.
Now, that's all American men. So that means married and single. So about half of those guys are going to be married. So this means 4% out of all the men in America will make over $100,000 in income, when the average household income is going to be right at about, I'll say about $60,000. Only
$67,000, but let's continue.
34% of household incomes will be over $100,000. So from his perspective, I hear what he's saying. Like, hey, listen, Queen, if you meet a man who's God-fearing, got character, has integrity, has a decent job, has a career that he's passionate about, and his career field, like a school teacher, may not be as financially lucrative as your career field, lawyer, doctor, nurse, per se, right? That's a good catch. That's a good man, because he's operating within his purpose. He's operating within his assignment of the world. The man is going to save. The man is going to invest. He's going to be a good steward over his income. That's a solid man. And when you really step back, you guys, when you really step back and do the research, When you look at accountants, when you look at school teachers, these are the individuals who are becoming self-made millionaires. Well, how is that, Anthony? They're only making $60,000. They're only making $70,000. Well, it's because they're living below their means and they're investing 15% of their income. They're investing it into a 401k. They're
Okay, I don't disagree with anything that he's saying so far. So I'm trying to figure out where he has a problem with Tyler Perry, but we're gonna get there.
investing it into a 403b. They're investing it into a mutual fund. They're investing it into an HSA account. They're saving and not overspending their income. But here's where I disagree. In his comment, and I know Tyler Perry, and I'm always attacked about the things that I say, and I want to be very, very mindful of how I say this, because I do believe, however, there is a point in life to where if a man can only pay the electricity bill, I don't know if that's the right man for you.
First of all, Tyler used that as an example in order to illustrate an extreme picture that he was painting, right? He said, listen, if a woman is getting to the bag, right, and she's incredibly successful, and she doesn't need him to pay anything, but he winds up taking on something just because he wants to contribute, because that's just the nature of a man, right? And this is why we have to pay attention and listen to people in their entirety. You want to listen to a little bit before and a little bit after. The context is that a woman that is making a significant amount of money shouldn't forego a great man just because of finances if that's not something that she actually needs in her life in order to continue to sustain her lifestyle. It wasn't about the light bill itself. It was about the idea that he continues to exhibit man qualities and man characteristics. And he added the context. He said, listen, as long as he can take you out, and show appreciation, and he's living in his purpose and all of this other type of stuff, based off of the dynamics of what we consider relationships to be today, it's a different perspective and a different narrative of how you need to be seeking companionship and building a legacy with somebody that has great character versus the person that's just getting to the bag. All right. And just because a woman is making a lot of money, man, let me school y'all for a minute. Just because a woman is making a lot of money don't mean that she keeping a lot of money. Just because a woman is getting to the bag don't mean that she don't have a bunch of debt. Just because a woman is living in her purpose as far as what it is that she does for a living doesn't mean that she understands how money works. Just because a woman make more money than a specific guy don't mean that her net worth is as high as his. Don't mean that she don't have student loans. Don't mean that she not messing it up and blowing it. Don't mean that it's a smaller window by which she'll make that money and he has a much, much longer runway in which he'll be 10 times more successful than her because A, he understands how money works. B, he understands exactly how it is that you need to be allocating your resources. And C, he can give her a vision and help her to understand that that thing that you're making right now may not necessarily be forever. And so then that's when that character, right? That's when that good charisma, him being able to communicate effectively with her. That's when that love, that's when that tough love, right? That's when that thing that she actually needs and that masculinity kicks in because he can guide her into being the woman that she's supposed to be because he can give her what she needs in order to leverage her gifts more effectively. And it's not just defined by money. And so this is why you have to have people that are successfully married giving you insight and information on how it is that you're supposed to move in your relationships because it has nothing to do with his ability to be able to make money and pay a light bill. It has everything to do with his ability to be responsible, live in his purpose, also add value into your life, and then give you a vision by which you can execute to become a better version of yourself because that's the true purpose of leadership. That is how you move as a man when it comes to leadership. Having yourself together is not just getting into the bag. When we call each other bag chasers over here in the Millionaire Morning Show, right? Over in the Patreon. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. When we call ourselves bag chasers, we use that as a term, but that's not necessarily how we're defined. And I say it all the time. Bag chasing is making sure that you're chasing the best version of yourself, understanding that the money comes with it. Would you leave a man that's broke, that's down on his luck, that went through something, but he also exhibited hard work, good character, doing it the honest way, making sure that it could just be circumstances that happen. Everybody goes through something where they go through a down period, right? But that doesn't define whether or not she's supposed to stick around in a relationship. That's the time that she's supposed to hold him down the most. She may be making more money at the time because whatever is happening in that specific industry at that time, he may have gotten displaced. I've seen a lot of people get displaced during the pandemic. Didn't mean that he was going to be in that position forever. Didn't mean that he didn't give her the vision. Didn't mean that she didn't know how, or she did know how to manage the finances and the resources effectively. Some people just are good at their talent, but they're not necessarily good at making money and being able to manage it, right? And so you have to start talking a little bit differently to the people that understand it. It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. Do you have the understanding to even have this conversation in the first place? See, when I hear people like this talk, it tells me that they have no clue on how it is that you're supposed to operate in your purpose as far as relationships are concerned. You have no level of masculinity. It's all simping. It's all simping. And so when I look at people like this talk, it baffles me. It very much baffles me. But let me hear the rest of what he got to say.
If a woman can only pay her electricity bill, I don't know if that's the right woman for me. Because it's not really more so about the amount of money that they're making. It's about what's their mindset to money. How do they think when it comes to money? Do they get their paycheck on Friday and they spend it on hair, they spend it on haircuts, they spend it on clubs?
What does this have to do with a man? What does this have to do with what Tyler? I'm gonna let him cook. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for y'all to be able to come up here if y'all got any disagreements.
And drinking and eating out. What, when they get money, how does their brain react to money? And if a man in his 30s and a man in his 40s can only pay the electricity bill, we have a problem.
I'm gonna let him cook, and then we're gonna come back.
If a man can only buy McDonald's dinner, we have a problem. If a man cannot take care of his four walls, these are the things that are very, very important to just any human being, really. Any human being. If a man cannot take care of his apartment, of his mortgage, or his rent payment.
I'm about to pin this to the top of the chat.
A man cannot take care of solid transportation to get him to and from work. If a man cannot put food on his table, and if a man cannot keep his utilities on, that man should not be focused on trying to find a wife, because it's just going to make the situation worse. I'm not saying.
Let me ask you a question, Anthony. Let me use a different example, right? Because I don't think he knows what he's talking about at all, but I'm going to use a completely different example. Should people get married, or should people marry their high school sweetheart? Should women or men get married at 18, 19 years old? Should people get married when they're in college, right? Should they get married before they rack up a whole bunch of bodies and they start doing a thing that's not in their own best interest? If they're still a college student, but they're going towards wherever it is that they're supposed to go, should they get married, or should they still be able to do whatever it is that they want to do until they get themselves together? I'm just curious. Do men want women that then eventually get their lives together when they're 30 and 40 years old, when they finally get into their career, but they completely taint it when it comes to how it is that they're supposed to operate in society? Do men even look at how much money a woman makes in order to determine whether or not she's a wife? Because he's conflating the two now. I'm just asking questions. I just pinned it to the top of the chat. Y'all more than welcome to be able to come up here if you have a disagreement with me. Only if you have a disagreement with me. Don't worry about it. We gonna get there.
That a man needs making six figures. I had the opportunity to sit on the panel with Sarah Jakes here.
Are men that only make six figures the ones that's supposed to get married?
On this past weekend at Woman Evolving, man, and she.
What if he moves over from Ohio and he's comfortable over there and he sells his house and they decide to go over and take advantage of an opportunity over in New York because that's where a job is taking her, and they don't have any kids to displace or anything like that, so he makes the adjustment until he decides to do something a little bit differently, right? What if he put her through school in order for her to then, you know what I'm saying, he made a capital investment in her and put her through school in order for her to get to certain levels, and then now it's his turn to make the adjustment because they don't necessarily need his salary in order for them to maintain a lifestyle for him to then go and pursue whatever it is that he's supposed to pursue. Does that count? Right? Don't worry about it. We're going to continue to cook.
Ask me a question. What's wrong with us men? You know, why are we always chasing wealth and skipping over good ladies? And I had to apologize because I was that guy that was focused on trying to make six figures. Got to six figures. Oh, let me get $500,000. Got to $500,000. Oh, let me get to $1 million. And throughout this whole time, I missed out on finding me an asset. I missed out on finding my favor, because I was chasing the bag. There is a time and a place to where a man should be able to take care of himself, the basic necessities of himself. If a man can't pay his utility bills,
Do you know what's so funny about this whole situation? I remember when I went broke in 2007, 2008 recession. And I moved back into my mother's basement. I was married. I had a daughter on the way. My daughter was born in the beginning of 2008. And I was one of the hardest workers that there was, right? And I had two jobs and I wound up going to school full time or whatever like that. I took a sales job because it really wasn't nothing here in Detroit. And then I went to school and then I wound up getting a call center job and I would do my homework on the call center job and then I would do the sales job. But anyways, I was grinding and I was hustling and I told my girl, I said, listen, we not going to be like this for very long. We moving in a completely different direction. We started getting so much money and the assets was blowing up and we never took away from what it is that we invested in, but we was willing to let everything go because we didn't want our assets and our nest egg that we had put into place to be affected by what was going on in a recession. And so instead of continuing to do that type of stuff, we decided to all combine our forces and move all into the household together and then continue to go from there. Fast forward to today, my mother has nothing to worry about for the rest of her life. Her mother has nothing to worry about for the rest of her life. If I had made the adjustment based off of the things that Anthony O'Neal is saying right now, then there's no way that I would be in the position that I'm at for the rest of my life. Because a lot of times guys sip out and they do things for the approval of the general public or for women based off of the fact that women are saying these same talking points instead of looking at the vision and the potential of what a guy has. That's why you see women often at times marry earlier in other cultures versus people are doing what they want to do in the black culture that's not conducive for our lifestyle. That's why so many women are baby mamas. That's why everybody is single going into their 30s and 40s and saying that the dating pool is tainted, right? Because now it doesn't stop people from doing what they want to do as far as sexually or anything like that. But what it actually does is it prevents you from being with the person that you were supposed to be with in the first place because you probably passed up on him. That man ain't going to be in that space forever. He absolutely is not going to be in that space forever. If you ask any woman today that is still in the dating market, that may be a baby mama or not, or may be successful, and you ask him, and I ask him all the time, right? I say, listen, you probably passed up on a man that you already should have married. 100% of the time they say yes. Sometimes even when they marry. They say, yeah, I should have married that other guy.
that's a man who should not be looking for marriage at this moment. If a man cannot take care of rent, if he's bouncing from home to home, this man needs to get his foundation in order so this brother can be a strong leader. And so I agree with Tyler Perry. If he can cover those four things and he's in a good career, he loves God, man, he's only going up. That man is only going up from there. That man is only going to be a better man. That man is the man you need to be with because he has character, because he has integrity, and because he loves God. And when you put those three things together, that's a fruitful man. That is a man that is going to live below his means. That is a man that is going to steward his income well. That is a man that he is going to use all the gifts and his talents and the talents that he has inside of him to generate wealth, to generate financial freedom. That is a man that's going to listen to my podcast. He's going to listen to Earn Your Leisure. He's going to listen to, the Dave Ramsey Show. He's going to read books. He's going to continue growing and evolving so he can be a leader and a provider and a protector for his home. And so I agree with Tyler Perry from that one perspective. But here's where I gotta disagree. Just because he has good character doesn't mean that you overlook the basic necessities that every human being should be able to do, especially in their 30s and 40s and 50s. There's no way in the world I'm signing off on my daughter to go marry a 35-year-old man who bouncing from house to house. That I don't care how he comes in his house. I don't care how he greets me. I don't care how he shakes my hand, and I don't care how much he say he love you. If he's struggling,
Coming from a man that ain't married and don't have no kids, I got you.
and paying rent, And watch this, y'all. Let me say this. I'm not saying, okay, he lost his job.
Let me tell you something. You know what I teach my daughter? And this is the God's honest truth. My daughter will never need or want for anything financially for the rest of her life. That's the way that I set it up. I fully expect to pay for her wedding. I fully expect to give her a house to live in once she gets married, when she decides that they wanted to move out of our house, because it's a strong possibility that I'm gonna build a fucking fortress that allows for my daughter and her family, if they decide that they want to be able to live with us in their own wing for the rest of their life. I'm purchasing land to do that now. She's 15 years old, and literally I plan on building a master palace over the next 2 to 3 years once I start to break through and I break ground for construction, right? I fully expect to pay for my daughter's wedding. I fully expect for her to not have any student loans. I fully expect her for probably work for me and be a steward of the company, and also pass down all of the resources and things that come along with being my daughter, right? Also plan to gift her the house that hopefully they start their family in and all of that stuff, right? Here's the thing. The thing that I teach my daughter is to look for a person with a great moral compass that's going to treat you right, that is loving, that is humble, that is equally yoked when it comes to great character and to love God. And I also tell her to never ever talk about or have a conversation about how much money your dad got or how much money you got or what it is that you're looking for. Look for the spirit. Look for a person that loves the things that you love. Look for a nerd. Look for a dude that's in anime. Look for a guy that likes to hang out and spend time with his family and friends, that do positive things, that don't get caught up, that don't want to be a part of club culture, that's not influenced by what it is that, is saying in rap music and all of those type of things. I'm not sitting here and having no conversation with my daughter to talk about looking for a guy with the bag. She not under duress. That's not what she has to look for. Listen, y'all can grow into y'all greatness. Y'all can grow, and as long as you in a gym shooting with that man, that's all that matters, right? You got the safety net. Now you have the ability to be able to look at things that's outside of what these normal everyday hoes is looking for. I'm teaching my daughter to look at the heart, the character of a person. That's going to carry you and keep you for the rest of your life. The bag is temporary. You're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to have losses. You're going to have wins. It's going to be situations. But are you a good person? That's the thing, right? That's the thing that I teach my daughter. So y'all keep teaching y'all daughter to go and look for the person with the bag. I'm going to teach my daughter a little bit differently.
And he's bouncing back. I get that. I'm talking about if his fruit is he's never been able to establish himself financially to cover his four walls, that is evident that we have a bigger issue on hand. We have a much bigger.
I could teach that young bull on how to get the bag. I can put him in a position of power. I can teach him how to run the company. Right? You know what I'm saying? I can make him a part of what it is that we building together. The one thing that I can't change is work ethic. I can't change character. I can't change whether you're a good person. I can't change whether or not you're going to do the right thing when nobody else is looking. I need to know that you got a good heart. I need to know that you're going to treat her right. I don't care about all of that other stuff. Right? I'm setting the foundation. Now I'm going to put you in a position to be successful. If that's what you want to do.
Issue on hand. It's not just an income problem. It's not just he lost his job problem. That's a mentality problem. And that mentality is a scary thing because you don't want that mentality to come over to you. So I'm curious, what's your thoughts? Do y'all 100% agree with Tyler Perry? Like ladies, brothers, comment. Like, do y'all understand what I'm saying? I go on record and say this. I've said this several times. I believe every man should be striving to make at least 6 figures. I think every man should be striving to make at least 6 figures. You may have a job making $55,000 a year, but how can you make $45,000 on the side with your business, with your hobby, with something that you're passionate about? How can you go from making $3,000 a month to making $8,333 a month? How?
This is so stupid, man.
What can we do as men? Man, these sisters, I was just in the building and saw 40,000 ladies evolving. I saw 40,000 ladies learning, and Sarah was teaching financial literacy. She was talking about therapy and being whole and healing from past trauma. Like, I'm seeing these ladies cry and cry out to God and healing and coming in there to get the information so that they can grow. And I'm like, yo, brothers, we got to do the same thing. These ladies can't come to us and they got the basic stuff covered, and we over here talking about, but I got a good character. I got a good heart. Character and heart don't pay the bills. Now,
This is dumb.